as we gather together this day, I want you to travel back in time with me to a time that is now 30 years ago. It was a small school, a red brick building, windows on the outside, the big play yard or playground in the back. It was there, in that place, that I got to know, although maybe that's not quite the fair way of putting it, but I got to know two individuals. One named Joe, short for Joellen. Another, Wayne. Now, Joellen and Wayne were in my class. But Joellen and Wayne, well, they seem to be a little bit different from others. You see, Joellen moved to our school, to our community, after we were already in the 3rd grade. And Joellen came from a family that was renting a place on the outskirts of town with a mother who wasn't married to the man that she was living with. And Joellen at that time was overweight and wearing either hand-me-downs from her older sister or clothes that they would get at the local rummage sales. That was the Joellen that I got to know. Wayne lived on the farm just next to ours. He helped out each day with the family chores, getting up early, oftentimes at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning, to milk the cows. And then to have to get back into his house and try to shower and get cleaned up in an extremely large family. And by the time that he got on the bus, he often smelled a little bit like the barn that he had just been working in for the last 2 hours. Rushing in, running down the long driveway to make it to the bus. And then he got to school, and he joined in with our class. Joellen, myself, all the others. The sad thing is that when Joellen and when Wayne got to school, there wasn't necessarily a warm embrace by their classmates, these people that they went to school with. Generally, it was either disregard or ignoring, which tended to be better than the second option, which was outright teasing. Today, what we would call bullying. Now, I think back on those days, and I think about their two stories, and where I fell in that story. Because I would like to think today that I would have stood up for them and stood side by side with them. But at that day, at that point in my life, I wasn't very happy with myself. I didn't know who I was or how I fit in. So the best thing for me was either to keep my mouth shut or to join with those who were teasing. That was the safer bet. Because otherwise it was very easy to know that teasing and bullying wasn't going to be directed just at Joellen or Wayne or whomever the victim was for that particular day, but that it would come back to me. As we enter into the gospel reading for today, I want us to start in that place of being that person, perhaps that child, that was there in that mix. Because as we hear this story, what we are told by Jesus is that we are called to love our neighbor. But it starts before that. We are called to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And I think that today in our society, oftentimes we aren't very good at we can become our own best critics, tearing ourselves down if we get a B+ or a C on a paper we should have gotten an A. If our work isn't top-notch, it's our fault. And bosses or superiors, colleagues, tend today to be pretty quick to point that out in most circumstances. So how? How do we begin in that place of loving ourselves? The first thing is when we enter into the sanctuary and to hear that you are a beloved child of God. Each and every one of you. When we gather at the font, we are lifting up those places where we are broken or we miss the mark, what traditionally is called in the church sin. But it is more importantly the place where we lay claim to who God has called us to be. Beloved. Beloved children of God. There. In this very place. So as you come today, that is the first thing I want you to hear. You. A beloved child of God. Then secondly, a valued member of this community. Even if this is your first time in this sanctuary, or the first time here in this community, to know that here in this place, as you raise your voice in song or in prayer, as you hold hands during the prayer, that for this moment, you are here and we are changed and enriched.